Hello, this is Kathy from the Daily Marker, and I'm so excited to be doing a little video collaboration with Dawn from WPlus9. We're both going to be using this beautiful bouquet stamp, and she'll be watercoloring it, and I'm using some Copic markers. I divided this up into two parts. This is the beautiful bouquet. I can't pronounce the name of the bouquet. And then A New Day, this little bird. I wanted to combine the sets. So this is part one, and what I did was I experimented with how I wanted to combine the bouquet and the bird. So I decided I didn't need the stem extending out on the left there. Normally I don't pre-stamp to test things, but my sister was here and we were chatting, so I kind of came up with a color key, and I was just coloring while she was talking and discovering some color combinations. Normally I never do that, but I couldn't film because she was here. So now this is some masking paper, and I always want to stamp on the blue side, and then I'm like, duh, wrong side. So you want to stamp on the white side, and Understand Blue, Lydia said that if you rub your hand over the MISTI, that it works better. So let me back up here. Now I stamped the bouquet, and I'm picking a few areas to cut out. I don't need to mask the entire image. And you can also cut the leaves off and then just cut into them, and different ways you can do it. So I really just need the area where the bird is going to come out. So it's really a few leaves and a few flowers. So it's really pretty basic masking. I'm going to distress the background and use a stencil, so you could do further masking if you want. And it's easier if you see the piece on the right, if you just cut that flower off, and then it's easier to go all the way around it. Now, when you pick up the stamp from WPlus9, they're always gorgeous, and they're on acetate, you see the image. So I'm going to take that piece of acetate that the image is on, and I'm going to figure out where I want to place my bird. See, here's the acetate, and I get to futz around here and figure out where it's going to look best. And now see my two magnets stuck together. I thought you might want to watch. Lydia from Understand Blue, she said you just take your thumb and you kind of flick it, and then they come out. Okay, so while I mess around where I want this to come, I'm kind of thinking, where is the leaf going to peek out in an appropriate place? Then you put your stamp on top of the acetate, and then you're ready to stamp. Now I'm going to ink up my stamp and then stamp it on some scrap paper. And the reason why I'm doing that is I just want to have a light ink. The second generation stamp here, you'll see. Let's watch. See how it's very light? That way I can determine if there's some other areas that should be masked off better before I stamp it, because if it's hard to, I'm not good at explaining this, but let me see. I guess if there was an area that's stamped, I could just mask it off more, or use a Post-it and mask off more of it. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, now I'm masking off the bird and a few of the stem and the top portion of the flowers here. And then I'm going to get my slippery mat. Always wipe it off to make sure there isn't any ink on it. I'm going to be using this Simon Says Stamp stencil, but first I'm going to put down a layer of distress ink. And hovering is my keyword. I just had to dry off. My sleeves are coming in handy today. So I wanted to dry off that craft mat first. So I always like to hover in the corner with my distress ink, and then once the corner and the edges are saturated, I kind of slide it down. So I sped this up so it's a little bit harder to tell. And then when the majority of the color is off my distressing tool, sometimes I'll put it in the center of the masking and flick it up just a little bit. So you can see I'm hovering there on that line and just pulling the, right now I'm flicking. So a little bit of flicking and a lot of hovering in the corners. And I really just want more of the top half, kind of a sky blue, and just a little bit on the bottom. Now in some instances I'll color the image and I don't even mask it, and I'll just bring in a little bit of distress ink, and it doesn't matter if it goes over your Copic coloring. I do that a lot, but I thought I'd be a little fancier today and use a stencil, and usually I do the background last as an afterthought, so I thought I'd try something new. Now I'm just bringing in the exact same color. I just want a subtle dot, nothing too prominent, because I want my images to stand out, but the background just needs a little something. So if you just go over it lightly, you'll get a little bit of color, and it's super easy. So I'll just be taking the masking paper off, and that's how I'm doing my background. So if you want to watch how I color the image, you can watch part 2. It's always fun when you take the paper off to see how it just kind of comes to life. And using distress inks or inks is a fun way to color your background. I'll see you in part 2.